Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Max Wildly Speculates. It's my favorite thing to do. You can't stop me. We're going to dive straight into it. Today we're talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol. For those not aware at home, normally we've had Gen Con around this particular time. It's the world's largest convention, and a lot of companies, particularly gaming companies, announce their stuff, or board game companies. And a lot of these guys have been looking for online kind of announcements instead, things like streaming on Twitch or Facebook and things like that. So we're seeing from Marvel Crisis Protocol, the X-Men are finally coming in, which is really, really exciting for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, X-Men are going to be very powerful in kind of combat games because that's a big feeling behind it. But if Marvel's getting access to X-Men stuff, we could maybe see some more X-Men in the Marvel Universe, in our current Marvel Universe. Obviously, they're in their own little universe right now, and there's a bit of an issue connecting all of the X-Men guys to the crew, same as the Fantastic Four, for those wondering at home. But this could show that there's some more stepping stones happening, which is really, really exciting. So as you can see here, we've got Cyclops and Storm, Mystique and Beast, Magneto and Toad, and then Wolverine and Sabretooth. So as we all know, I'm the most excited for Wolverine because he's the coolest character in the entire world. He has claws coming out of his hands, and that is the best thing in the world. I'm expecting some really, really cool stuff from these guys. I have no idea what their affiliation is going to be, if it's just going to be like X-Men or maybe, evil X-Men versus good X-Men, or anything along those lines. So yeah, look, I'm just going to start wildly speculating on stuff. Obviously, they're categorized together for particular reasons. I expect Wolverine and Sabretooth to be very similar, but opposites, obviously, good versus bad, even though Wolverine's kind of an anti-hero to a degree, but I expect them to be jumping or leaping or pushing themselves, having extra attacks, maybe attacking multiple times if you hit enough switches and things like that, definitely giving bleed characteristics, and of course, some kind of regen characteristic or some way to heal. I imagine very similar to Venom in a lot of ways. Venom has, obviously, We Are Snacks, which allows him to kind of attack back when you attack him. I potentially expect Wolverine and Sabretooth to do a very similar thing. Magneto, call me crazy. He's probably going to throw a bunch of stuff. What else do you want from him? He's going to pick people up and throw them. He's going to pick up things and throw them back. I expect him to be a pretty high threat level, probably around the 4s or even 5s, similar to kind of MODOK and such. Wolverine, I expect maybe closer to 3s, maybe pushing 4s. Sabretooth, probably 3, Wolverine 4, or something along those lines, what I'd expect. Magneto, probably around the 4 or 5. Toad, look, probably just a passing character. Probably a 3. I'd like to see some more 2s, give some more variance on the lower end of the scale, offer some options for more of a larger scale style army, playing 5 or 6 characters rather than 4 or 5, which would be really, really exciting. Toad's probably going to be pulling people around, throw them into buildings and stuff like that, which is also really, really exciting stuff. Next on, Mystique and Beast. Mystique's going to be interesting. I expect her to be very similar to kind of a Black Widow style character, which is going to be really, really cool. More objective capturing, maybe giving status conditions and things like that. Beast, again, kind of falls into that Wolverine or even Hulk-style ability where he's going to be throwing people, punching people, moving relatively quickly across the field. He's going to be a bit of a tank, though, as well. Maybe not as regen-based as kind of like Wolverine, but I expect maybe a 3 threat with 7 health or even 8 health. Being really up there on those tanky abilities. Maybe having some physical and psychic defense or mystic defense pretty high and relatively low energy defense. Something along those lines. Mystique, again, probably defenses 3 on physical, maybe 3 on Mystique as well, and then 2 on energy. Magneto, something like a 4 energy defense plus 4 physical defense. Maybe I'm going crazy on that one. And then maybe some energy defense not as good. So even a 2 or a 3 on the energy defense. Wolverine I expect to be pretty much 3s across the board. Same as Sabretooth. Maybe having a 4 on physical defense depending on their threat level. Finally on the far left, we've got Cyclops and Storm. Storm I hope to be a really high threat character, honestly. I expect her to be I want her to be a 4 threat character and just be a Thor-esque, just blasting people across, maybe a high threat squishy target that just prepares to one-shot people really hard. Just energy attacks being out the wazoo, throwing multiple attacks, hitting lots of area of effects. So if you've got 2 characters next to each other, she's just going to pummel you both. And you've really got to make sure that you spread your forces wide And if you've got multiple 2 or 3 threat characters with relatively low health, and maybe not a huge amount of energy defense, I expect her to be able to just potentially wipe you off the table and at the same time probably push you as well. You know, she's a Storm. She's going to be pushing you around as well as buffeting you. Or maybe even pulling you, which would be really cool, just so she can kind of maybe drag you in for an AoE blast, which I think would be really cool. Yeah, really excited. Cyclops, I expect him hopefully to have a bunch of beam stuff. I think would be really cool. Again, putting him in position to try and organize the lines of people. Storm, maybe that's kind of their connection. Storm wants to drag them into a circle, and Cyclops wants to kind of like blast them with a beam as well. Or Cyclops, they're all about kind of, you know, line or area of effect style attacks. It's all about positioning with those two, which I think would be really cool. Again, Cyclops maybe a 3 threat or something like that. I'm still not seeing Xavier here. Now, I know these are due relatively quickly, so we might see Xavier at the start of next year. But yeah, interesting not seeing him come through with these guys. It makes me think that who's the leader going to be for X-Men, unless they think Magneto is going to be the leader for X-Men, which again sounds very strange. I'm also not seeing, I guess Magneto can be evil X-Men with Toad and Sabretooth, and that's going to be enough to get most allegiances going. But at the same time, it kind of forces you into playing a Magneto Sabretooth 4 character list or a Magneto Toad Sabretooth 5 character list. So kind of, you know, pigeonholed a little bit there. And again, for the X-Men, I imagine Cyclops might be a bit of a leader in there. He's obviously supposed to be the leader of the team. But no Xavier, which I still think would be a very powerful thing on the battlefield. It'd be interesting seeing how they kind of interact with, obviously, him being in a wheelchair and things like that. Moving small, I imagine, but having huge ranges and being able to push and throw people or give a lot of buffs to people, give them re-rolls and extra dice to their attacks, extra dice to their defenses, things like that, kind of, you know, telling them, hey, this is going to happen, be careful. So yeah, look, really excited about X-Men, really keen to see how they're going to fit in with all the rest of the crew. If you're excited about Marvel Crisis Protocol, similar to me, I've been playing a bunch of games recently and testing out a lot of theories and checking out cards and doing combinations and doing a lot of kind of that math hammer behind. Hit us up on Facebook. Send a message and comment below here. Send a message to the Facebook store, General Games Malvern or General Games Frankston. We're getting some chats going. We're getting some communication, figuring out what people are keen on, what people aren't keen on, and just start out that conversation. The game's absolutely awesome. We're really excited about it. I know there was an Australian League at one point as well, which is ending relatively soon. And in America, this game's absolutely crazy too. So hit us up. Let's get chatting, get some people involved. Really keen. As soon as this lockdown's out, let's hit the ground running, get some games and get some tournaments, get some really, really cool stuff on that. So real simple. Comment below. Tell me what your favorite character is. Thank you. I'll pass you on to Scott. You have a great day.
Scott here. If you like that video, you can do the YouTube thing where you like and subscribe and there's a bell and there's a whole thing. Then if you want more information, you know, there's the Facebook one. It's got events, it's got posts, all our pre-orders, all the cool stuff. And then for behind the scenes action, check out our Instagram. It's got a bunch of pictures. It's pretty cool. Check it out.